Hey guys, welcome back to the Political Pistons podcast. I know it's a little bit late, but better than late than never. All right. Anyways, Kenny, how you doing? Doing fine.
Control's terrible. Yeah, I'm fine.
Hey, it's okay. Being a long day.
Has it really though?
Hey, well, guys, we were live a couple of minutes ago, but there were some mistakes. All right, done on my behalf. That I apologize.
At least you admit it. That's the first step to it.
Either way, you're gonna jump into some topics that is currently trending in the United States as well as all over the world. One of them is the Israel apartheid. Keep forgetting. My bad. There's currently going on. Obviously, there's a massive protest in Israel, Jerusalem to be specific, right? And there's a bunch of a lot of Palestinians that are being affected by this. There has been a couple of people who have died during this protest. A couple of children that are also involved. And obviously, there's a lot of clips trending on Twitter. Not a lot of media has covered this. I don't know why, but it has led to a lot of independent media outlets online to talk about it. They're the ones who are still shining the light on these things, and a couple of people in the Congress also have talked about it. I think one of them is Ilhan Omar. Kind of said that it's shameful what Israel is doing right now. Obviously, there's a bunch of I don't know if you've seen the clip, but that is trending on Twitter. That a bunch of people are just chanting, dancing, and singing as a burning building is in the background, right? And you could say this is also, has to be. Some people call it ethnic cleansing against Palestinians and Muslims in general. Right. But it just it looks really bad, and for the United States used to again ignore what's going on over there, it's just horrible. So, what's your opinion on this matter, Ken? Obviously, it's crazy that we still have to talk about things like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's surprising that it's happening in a country literally created as a result of a genocide. Now, and ethnic cleansing is now trying to do a genocide in ethnic cleansing. And yeah, the thing, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it was a mosque. It's I have no idea how to pronounce it. But it's probably one of the most important mosques in well, it's a compound, but there's two parts of it, right? It's the mosque and then there's the Temple Mount. The part they were burning was the Temple Mount, not the actual mosque. Together it's called a compound. I just don't know how to pronounce it. But that's what's burning while they're singing. Now some are saying that it was a result of Arab extremists. That's what some of the Israeli outlets are reporting. Like they burned it and then they filmed it at a specific angle so they can make it look like the Israelis were singing and celebrating it.
Yeah,
I don't know how much I trust that story. That's a pretty elaborate.
The context is pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, just a bunch of people. I mean, it seems pretty direct. Like it's a burning building in the background, and these people are just singing and chanting.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the pictures of the attack.
Today was Israel Day, isn't it? Something like that.
Imagine doing this on their day.
Yeah.
No, what kind of message are trying to send?
Either way, it doesn't excuse the actions of what's happening. Because before then, it was like a giant protest, and then a lot of protesters came in. They started clashing with the Israeli police. And like I said, this tension goes back to since before we were alive, right? This was all the land that is Israel used to be Palestine, and then after World War II, you had to find some place to put all the Holocaust survivors, so they gave them essentially Jerusalem, it's not Jerusalem is not Israel, but Jerusalem is in Israel. They gave them that land, that territory, and it's been in tension ever since. Not just with Palestinians and Israelis, but also their neighbors, which is I think Egypt and I forget the one on that land, that territory, and they've been at each other's throat ever since. And so when you see all this stuff, and like I said, just really, it's really disappointing because the United States kind of allied with Israel to recognize them as a country before any other country have. That's why the United States and Israel have such a strong relationship. Because the United States was the first country to recognize Israel as a country. But then to see this, and of course, Israel being one of our major allies in the Middle East now, one of our few allies in the Middle East, it makes it disappointing that we know that for geopolitical reasons, why the United States is turning a blind eye to this. A lot of the people in the United States are kind of pushing to make sure that we stop turning a blind eye to it. A lot of people in the world are trying to make sure they don't turn a blind eye to it. But the fact of the matter is, it's not really getting any better. Now, there was a rocket attack. Some people are saying by terrorists, by Hamas in Israel today as well. But I don't know if they're related or not. Most likely, they probably are. But it's just one of those things where I think the apartheid in Israel is becoming kind of extreme. Well, kind of extreme. It is extreme at this point. They're pretty much attacking Palestine at any chance they get, any excuse they get. I think last year or maybe 2 years ago, we had an issue where they were moving people into the Gaza Strip, which was inciting violence. And people told them, "Hey, don't do that. Stop doing that." They said, "Screw that. We're going to do it anyway." And when people got upset, they shelled them with artillery. They killed some kids, which really pissed off people in the world.
Yeah,
and it's been going downhill ever since.
Yeah,
I mean, it's already been going downhill, but it's been accelerating ever since. It's kind of crazy. I mean, the people don't. Palestinians do not want to be under Israel. Israel wants Palestinian land, but they want.
And I don't know why, but like you said, this has been going on for many years, even before we were born. And a lot of people like to come back and just to the history between these two separate countries and say, oh, they have done this to us. They, obviously they both had gone back and forth with different ways of political and direct attacks towards their people and whatnot. And it's never gonna end if they go back and forth like that. It says, "Oh, we cannot forget what they have done to us," or stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like not. It's not to justify anything, but I think it's when it comes down to, like, a lot of people use the excuse that, oh, like, Hamas is a terrorist group, they're sheltering them, blah blah blah. But that doesn't justify just attacking random civilians. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
It's like, I think it was Trump bombed he drone strike was it Khashoggi, right? Iranian general.
No.
Yeah, and Israel was like, "Yo, these guys are crazy, man. I don't know what's going on. That's some nut shit." But as soon as when they attack like civilians, killing kids all the time, hell, like you said, in this last attack, I think like 5 or 6 kids were killed, and they're just like, "Oh man, like that's not our fault, terrorists."
Yeah,
like, it's like, what the hell? Like, I gotta sit there, like, the drone strike killed like one guy. Okay, raw, that guy is extremely important, but it killed one adult man. Your attacks killed many children and babies.
Yeah,
Little bit like, but we're crazy. You're not crazy. It just shows you like how geopolitics are working right now, and it's just everyone is trying to slide something under the radar. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's just trying to like slide in and be like, oh, it wasn't us. It's like, we don't know what happened. We had to terrorism. I mean, you saw a few years ago, I think it was 2015, 16, where Russia, took part of Ukraine. Said, "Oh, this always belonged to us." I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then, a couple of years ago, you had China take parts of other countries in the Asia Pacific region. And they're like, "Oh man, look at these old ass pictures. See, that says it's China." Like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, and they still want to do it anyway.
Right, they're still trying to do it. And then, now you have them like, "Oh man, like terrorists, oh shit, like that's why we had to kill these guys." Like, just ignore like the 30 people we moved in, like just focused on the terrorists. And then and then Trump was like, "Oh man, we have to blow up that general." I don't know.
Yeah, and then obviously
everybody's just trying to sneak some stuff in,
yeah,
get like a better position on the world stage. It's like, oh, like you didn't see anything.
Yeah, and then we have
and
some
just
some U.S. politicians trying to say, yeah, I'm on behalf. I support what the Israel is doing against this terrorists, right? Quote unquote.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's always use terrorists to kill innocent people. I mean, it's like you take a look, and even in Iraq and Afghanistan, where we've been, entire cities have been laid out by us. Like if you saw some of those pictures, it's ridiculous. Like you had a whole city just carpet bombed to hell. No one could live in those cities. Almost every building is destroyed. I think we killed almost like 500,000 people at this point. Terrorists are still there. Like it's BS, man.
Yeah,
Come on, it's BS.
20 years.
It's about control. It's always been about control. It's like it's pretty much like we bomb in Afghanistan. Same reason why Israel bombed in Palestine, because it's trying to tell you we got you. Like this is us. Like we got to show you how powerful we are compared to you.
It is crazy because Israel couldn't be as they are powerful and as they are now without the U.S. help. Obviously,
yeah,
that's what the United States is kind of like turning a blind eye because,
but yeah,
they're complicit to what they have done.
Yeah, just like what happened in Saudi Arabia when they're bombing Yemen to hell. Like Yemen, they blockaded Yemen, like literally starving them to death. I mean, these guys, like Yemen, is getting completely wrecked right now.
Mm-hmm.
And all of it is because of U.S. weapons and stuff like that. And you just see them just bombing the shit out of them for no reason. Like I still don't even know the reason why they're doing it. And it's I think they said terrorism too, but I could be wrong about that. But you just see it like over and over again. Like the same reason you have the tariffs from China, the trade war with China. Same reason you had the bombing in Afghanistan, Iraq. Same reason you have all these things is because it's about a show of force. It's like, oh, like look at all these powers. Like even like what happened in Venezuela, where they're just like, hey man, you're not the leader anymore. We think this guy's the leader. And everyone's like, yeah, that guy's the leader.
Yeah.
It's pretty much to show them like, look, see, it don't matter who you elect. It's whoever we choose.
Yeah,
like that's what it is. That's what it's about. Like it's about showing power.
Yeah, there were also like other stuff that were going on in Venezuela. Obviously, Venezuela is like the fifth richest country in the world because of their oil. And and obviously they have all there's all these like banks across the world that have their money just in case of emergencies.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's right. They want Venezuela's resource. Yeah. Of course, they want the resource. And of course, Maduro was like, no. They're like, I'm not giving you anything. Like, you're not getting that oil. Yeah. Oh, well, unless you pay me fairly for it.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, fairly. Like, it's not about the payment, it's about the fair pay. They don't want it to pay you fairly. They want to get cheap oil.
Most of these countries they stole the hundreds of thousands of dollars the millions of dollars that obviously Venezuela had in their banks. So because obviously, and that's what they accepted the interim of the dude, right? They tried to take over Venezuela and they failed at it. They're doing that nasty dumb coup. But it is what it is. And it sucks that we keep hearing things like this going on in Israel, again with the Palestinian people, and I don't think it's gonna stop anytime soon. It's gonna keep going until they get rid of everyone, or until they kill most of people.
And it's either Palestine's gonna get bombed to hell, because at this point it's pretty much just one excuse, and Israel's just gonna bomb. Yeah, you use any excuse to just genocide them, right? Or it has to be an agreement made.
I don't think any agreement's gonna be. What's gonna happen is that these people are gonna have to essentially, they're gonna be kicked out, and most of them are gonna run away from that land because they have lost. They lost the war. The only thing is that there's a couple of remaining, but thousands of people that they trying to keep from getting 100% kicked out. They're still living in those cities. It's still like.
I mean, it's just that when you think about geopolitical moves, any country in the world that doesn't like the United States and their allies can just literally just pump massive amounts of money and weapons and start a war.
There's nothing they could gain from it.
Well, you lose. Well, the thing is, you cost the ally what if it's you cost the United States one of its few allies in the Middle East. That's pretty big.
I mean, we both know we also why the United States wants Israel on their side, right?
Hey, Iran.
They also, Iran. Yeah, that's why they are still friends with the people like the people who were responsible for 9/11.
Yeah, okay. Well, we killed them like what 10 years ago now.
No, not them. The actual people.
Oh, the grains of sand.
Yeah.
Oh no! You know who was responsible for Iran? We need to capture immediately the oil.
The oil.
We need to capture it and make sure that's on U.S. soil as soon as possible.
Oh, well. Anyways, let's move on.
It's funny because I don't even know why we even hate Iran.
Why?
I don't know. I never heard a good explanation for why we hate Iran.
I didn't know why. I didn't know we hated Afghanistan, but somehow.
Yeah, like, I don't get it. Yeah, like so a lot of stuff I'm just like
even Yemen. Like I didn't know Yemen was like.
We're not there. We're just giving weapons to the people who are doing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know why we search Yemen. I don't know why we help.
Yeah, I don't even know why. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know why we have done that. But you know, the United States are being friendly with all these people. But anyways, let's move on to the next topic. I guess we're gonna talk about the recent ongoing issues here in the United States. Obviously, we're still under the pandemic right now. India is being massively affected by the COVID-19. A lot of people are dying as we speak, and their government is just like, oh, I guess we're gonna have to talk about COVID.
It's a tough situation, man. Yeah, a huge country, a lot of people, not that many resources at their disposal. That's a hard thing, man. It's a hard, I think, to have that many people and that little resources to take care of them. It hurts, man.
The thing is, but India, they even believe on it, and I think they're just as concerned about COVID-19 as the Trump administration was at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it's like. It's like what I said, man. When you have so many millions of people within your border, actually, India has over 1 billion people. But you have so many people in your borders, it's like human life becomes, you know what I mean? Like it becomes whatever. Yeah. It's just like China, right? Until they realized that their birth rates were falling and that their population wasn't explosively growing anymore. Then they started caring about people. But before then, it was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, it doesn't matter if you die. Pollution, nice. That's cool.
Whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the reason why I bring up COVID-19, it's not because we're massively being affected here in the United States again, even though people have gone back to some degree of normalcy. Obviously, you see a lot of young people coming back, going to nightclubs or whatnot, already celebrating birthdays like if it was nothing. I see a lot of people celebrating Mother's Day, going to restaurants and whatnot. So yeah, you can see people like obviously kind of like forgetting about COVID a little bit. But we also had to state that here in California, the COVID-19 rates are going massively down, thank God. And that's due to the massive vaccination process that California has undertaken so far. Yeah, they've done a great job vaccinating people here.
I got my second vaccine today.
Yeah, I got it quite a few weeks ago, and I got the Moderna vaccine. Nothing. Nothing.
That means we have to hate each other.
Whatever.
That's life, right?
I mean, according to a lot of people online,
right now, each other over trivial things.
We remember that dude who came out and like I think I heard some like GOP dude who kind of say that like people who took the vaccine are massively dumb because at some point we're all gonna die thanks to the COVID-19 vaccine. Hey, see, we'll see. We'll find out if it was the people who don't take the vaccine or the people who do take the vaccine.
I'm gonna die because of the vaccine. At least I won't be alone, right?
Yeah, a bunch of
I got you. We'll see. I'll see y'all on the other side.
Yeah, so far the FDA has approved the vaccines for the ages of 12 to 15, so more people are able to take the vaccine. Right. But the only reason why I brought this up is because recently, obviously, we also get it massively because of the Biden administration recently began the $1,400 checks and also the $600 on top of it every other week or every month.
Oh no, it's just the $600 the one extra.
Yeah,
If you're living in California,
yeah,
and then your unemployment has an extra 300 attached on it. So however often you get it, I think it depends on the state.
yeah.
Will determine how much you get. So it's essentially after all is said and done, you're essentially making $15.
Pretty much that. And a lot of people
Yeah,
have, said, okay, if I'm getting paid better than I usually get paid when I go to work, and I do all this work for maybe $10 an hour or less.
mhm,
Hey, it looks pretty much that I'm staying home, right? I'm just like pretty
yeah.
much stay home. So a lot of the people, the GOP, a lot of conservative economic people, have come forward and say, see, this is why we should not pay people to stay at home. They're destroying the economy. A lot of small businesses, not small businesses per se, but a lot of like businesses are closing down because they are in lack of employees.
A lot of businesses closed down because if you remember, then they forgave the first paycheck protection loan, right? The paycheck protection loan,
Yeah.
way back like last year around April. They didn't protect. They didn't protect the money from getting eaten up by big businesses. That's what really happened. So a lot of businesses are closing their doors because they didn't actually get the money. Large corporations did because of the loopholes of the law. That's one. But two, another thing is it's not really jobs are being lost. It's that low wage jobs are being lost. And the reason why they're being lost is kind of like what Ray said. Actually, it is what Ray said. Is because a lot of people are realizing that the amount of how comfortably they can live making $15 an hour, not even more than that, is better than working and getting less than that anyway. So they're sitting on their ass and getting more money than going to work and getting less money. And that's the real issue there, right? Is that the companies want workers, but if you notice, it's the fact that the government is giving them money that's the problem, not that they won't raise wages. You see, that's the real issue. They don't want to raise wages, right? And it's actually funny because I was actually listening to the radio. Don't judge me. Um, and they were having this conversation between two small business owners here in California, and and they pretty much said the same thing. They're like, "Why? It's because they keep giving away money." And then the radio host asked, "If the wages is the issue, why don't you just pay them more wages?" And the first thing I was like, "Well, you can only pay them so many wages." It's just like, then you shouldn't have business. Like it's just that
Hmm.
simple. Like if you can't pay enough people to live, then you shouldn't really have a business. You're not helping anybody because that's the problem with a lot of business owners. They like to have this idea like, oh, I'm helping everybody. I'm helping people. I'm creating jobs.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you can't give people a living wage, you're not really helping anybody. You're actually causing them to do more work or less, which is bad, not good. It doesn't matter. Like all work is not good work. You know what I'm saying? And so when people complain about this, if they're not, just look at how much they were paying their employees before the pandemic, and how much, and then you'll see why it's a huge complaint for them. Because places like Costco, right? Like one of the examples Ray gave before the podcast, they had no problem finding employees, but they pay above $15 an hour.
yeah.
That's why they don't have a problem. Hell, even I got a job during the pandemic. My job pays above $15
Yeah.
an hour,
And to be
so I
fair,
didn't have an issue.
there are like in like fast food restaurants are paying $18 an hour, and one of them is In and Out. In and
Yeah,
Out has a lot of employees, and they also pay benefits. I mean,
perfectly fine.
so it's
Yeah,
like, how come they're not running out of employees?
right. Yeah, because that's what the issue is, and I think this extends to healthcare too, because you hear a lot of businesses complain over and over and over again. We can't. Healthcare cost is the biggest cost. Yet these people also complain that they don't want Medicare for all. Why? They want to use it as a bargaining chip for you to work there. That's why. Because if your healthcare is tied to your employer, guess what's gonna happen? Your employer pays you like shit. You're gonna think, "Damn, I'm gonna keep it because otherwise I won't have healthcare." That's what they want. And this is just emphasizing that now. It's just they see that you're getting $15 an hour. They don't want to pay you that much. And so they're saying, hey, government, can you stop giving them money so that we can pay them less? That's what it comes down to. So when people tell me, oh man, you can't raise the minimum wage, I'm like, you have to raise the minimum wage because these guys aren't going to do it. Like, we got to remember, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. nothing changed. Like you still have that danger of getting COVID-19, right? And even with all that, they're still trying to pay you less than $15 an hour,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's crazy. I mean, here in California, I think another thing happened was with the Hero Act in I think Long Beach. It was something called the Hero Act, and they mandated that the minimum wage during the pandemic was going to be I think $4 more than it was already. And so you know what the stores did? Instead of paying the $4 for the people who are working during the pandemic that they didn't care about the safety, they just closed down the stores. They didn't pay them more. They just closed down the stores. And they're like, "Oh, this is ridiculous." And that's the system they want. They didn't care about their employees. They didn't care about their employees at all. And
They
that's what's so
never
crazy about
do.
it.
They never do. And like you said, you were right up when you know, they're like all these rich people are essentially saying, "Hey, how come you don't? You should stop giving them more benefits. You should say paying them more than we pay them." That way, when they compare, that way they really needed us to get me because obviously if
Right.
you take out those like $600 checks and whatnot, then obviously they're gonna have to go back and still work more for less,
Right.
and that's what they realize. You know what? I shouldn't be doing that. I could use my time for something else. I could go back to school. I could take online classes. I could
Right.
spend more time with my family instead of exposing myself for less.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Endangering your life to get paid pennies. And the thing is that when you take a look at all this happening, it's like you can see why a lot of people are upset over all this stuff. Because it's like you still have bills to pay. Like you still have to go, buy groceries, but they just want to leave you high and dry. And they tell you that it's your fault. That's essentially what it comes out to. They want to say it's your fault. Like, and so when people decide, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore, and they got the option, like, because you see, when people have the option, this is what you get. Like, you see people are like, nah, I'll pass on the low wage jobs. And then a lot of these business owners who thought they were amazing are realizing they're not really that amazing. They're
Yeah.
not really that good. Like, it was just that you put people in a desperate situation where they had to work for you. And now that they don't have to work for you, they're not going to work. It's just that simple. So they could just quit over and over again.
And if and now because of California, you mentioned the surplus they have, and they're
Yeah,
gonna begin to,
$75 billion.
and they're gonna try to begin to give more people money.
Another $600, yeah.
So imagine,
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone said it was gonna be a deficit. Looks like they were wrong.
And the more that these people are getting proven wrong, the more they're going to ignore the facts, and they're just going to start spilling out bullshit, like in Fox News. When they just go out of their way and just like start saying socialism this, communism
Of
that.
course. I mean, they recently had an interview with that guy. I forgot his name, but he was the guy who cut his pay to give all his workers $80,000 minimum. They had an interview with him like I think 4 years or 5 years later after he did that. He said like his employers are happier. They work longer hours willingly. Okay, his business more than tripled. All right, and they're making more money than they ever had, and his employees are happier. And I'm just like, isn't that the whole point of working in the first place?
Yeah,
And he went on there right after that and said the biggest expense that we ever had was healthcare. Just give healthcare to all employees, like all Americans in general, just
yeah.
Medicare for all, and you
But
solve the whole problem.
that's the shitty system that we have.
But that's the thing, right? But a lot of employers, like he's one of the few exceptions, but a lot of employers don't want Medicare for all because, like I said, they want to use it as a bargaining chip. So because like if you know that you can get because if you keep it to where it is, right, and you make it so that it's purely based on money, right? They don't want to pay you that money. And so it's better to go out there and say, hey, I know you can get $75,000 a year at this place,
Mm.
but this place that gives you $75,000, they don't give you healthcare benefits. So if you want your healthcare benefits for you and your family, you're gonna take this $50,000 a year and you're gonna get over it. That's what they want to do.
Mm. Yeah,
But
yeah.
now that it's been covered, because your healthcare has also kind of been covered during the pandemic in Obamacare, they're losing those bargaining chips, and they don't like that. Because now what are people doing? They're just like, I want more money. I don't care about the benefits. I can get benefits from the government. I want more money.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
what I
and then
want
they don't
to.
want to do it, and they don't want to give it to you. Yeah, because they want the money for themselves.
Yeah.
And then you know, I don't know if you heard about it, but people are also afraid because of all the money that's getting passed around that inflation is going to go up. And they're right, inflation is going to go up, but you gotta remember that inflation is going up after deflation. We just had a huge amount of deflation last year. People are afraid that people are going to save so much money that the price of goods are going to start falling. Right? I don't know if we talked about it last year. I don't know if you guys remember the story where they were afraid that because the pandemic started and no one knew how to pay bills or how they're going to pay their bills, people started putting away money and paying off credit card debt. And they were like, "Oh my God, this is terrible for the economy. All the price is going to go down, and people are able to buy an untold amount of things for super cheap." And then now that inflation is going up, inflation is going to kill us. It's just like maybe you guys just don't know what you're talking about. Like maybe you just don't know as much as you think you know about all this stuff because
they just use it as a boogeyman thing. Right?
Yeah, because like, in my mind, I would assume that if you go through a period of deflation, then everyone gets their jobs back. Wouldn't inflation go up back to where it used to be? Like, wouldn't it?
But they say that's gonna go up even more.
But it hasn't.
Yeah, but it's been essentially even before in the history, it's been proven wrong that prices don't go up. All right. If anything, why would you increase your prices when people are willing to spend on things that? Right. People are gonna spend a lot of money. If you increase your price, nobody's gonna come to your store. Bottom line, that's how it is. Especially in an economy like the United States, where the market is wide open, you have so many people. You have so many competitors in the market itself.
It's like I said, this last year really exposed a lot of upper class people, and I hope it showed people a lot of the class warfare, right? Because y'all know, like I always emphasize this, but throughout all the years that I've been alive and able to understand stuff, you had CEO after CEO, business leader after business leader tell you to do what? No credit card debt. Don't go to school if you can't afford it, right? Make sure your bills are paid first and invest if you want more money. That way they don't have to pay you more. Didn't they say that? Get good with your money?
Yeah.
And then what happened? People got money, saved it, paid off credit card debt, and invested in the stock market. And every last one was like, "Oh my God, socialism." That guy on TV was crying. "Oh my God, look at that socialism. This is crazy," over GameStop.
Yeah.
It was just like, you can't win with these people. It's anything that benefits them is the position they're gonna take.
Yeah, it's so major bullshit. I remember when that GameStop thing going on and everyone's making fucking money. At least a lot of young people who were like, you know what, all these rich guys keep telling me to not don't go in like a massive debt, don't invest or don't buy stuff that you don't really need, save
that
it,
you can afford,
and then invest it and then triple your money over a certain amount of time. They started doing that, and then people's like, oh my God, there's no
the economy is going to collapse. I can't believe it. This people need to spend more. It's like,
and then a lot of people who were in real estate. Oh my God, everyone wants to be in real estate now. Everyone's buying an apartment. Everyone's investing on properties. I cannot buy properties anymore because that's an issue here in California right now. Like, there's not a lot of properties to buy because everyone's into real estate now.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, man, and it shows you really like this is class warfare. That's what this is. It's like no matter what position you take as an average person, they're going to be against it because that's how they want. They don't want to pay you more, so you have to go be good with your money. But you're too good with your money, it's your fault the economy collapsed.
Yeah,
it's like, how do you win that? You can't win with these people. That's why you don't try to appease them. So whenever your politician goes out there and say, and they're gonna say, the calls are gonna start, right? We all know the calls are gonna start. Right, the calls are going to come up saying, "Well, we need this, or we can't raise taxes because then the businesses will go under because the economy just came through all this blah blah." They're going to start up with all that BS again because they always do.
Yeah,
ignore them because they're bullshit. They're all bullshit. They're full of shit. They don't listen to anything they have to say about any of this stuff. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
But they're never gonna learn. Obviously, this they have to spread out this misinformation all the time, for them to just keep the masses dumbed down
Divide and
and
conquer. Yep,
yeah,
divide
divide
and
and conquer.
conquer.
But that is obviously rapidly changing. Most of us like don't even watch Fox News or ESPN or anything of that matter. Like television is just rapidly going away, and obviously YouTube and or near the place are taking over. But even then, YouTube, they did what they did against a lot of like independent media outlets. Obviously, when you search any news whatsoever, the first videos you're gonna see obviously are directly either Fox News or
Fox, MSNBC,
MSNBC.
CNN,
Yeah,
the
because of
typical mainstream outlets.
yeah, it was all based on the excuse of we were like worried about misinformation and whatnot, right? So we
Like they
want,
never lied before.
yeah, like we want legit sources to come out and say something. You really gonna trust Fox News as a legit source?
Hey, the Fox News is literally getting sued for lying about Dominion voting machines. Right?
It is basically how
these are things are proved. These things are being slandered, and they just. I think it was either them or Newsmax. They just settled out of court, pretty much admitting their lies. So it's like,
yeah.
so how Fox is considered a legitimate news source, not spreading misinformation, is come on.
Yeah, and then obviously a lot of like Fox News hosts have been caught obviously outside the war saying, yeah, like most of the time I just say stuff like that. It's like because of ratings and whatnot. Yeah, I mean it's not. I don't really believe in those things. Some other people
Remember,
believe
Sean
in.
Hannity had to admit that he ain't a journalist. He's like, I'm not a journalist. I'm just like a host. I'm like, yeah.
I'm just
like, yeah.
I'm an entertainer.
Yeah, like, okay, yeah.
Imagine, bro. Like, so
It's crazy.
it's like it's almost because I know that it's the same formula that a lot of like conservative. I wouldn't want to say conservative hosts from YouTube use. Right? They kind of find out the way that Fox News and most of their hosts work, and they do behind the scenes, and they kind of copy and paste that, and they do the same thing online. So when you find them, they say, when you find them, I found this guy who happens to be like a huge conservative online, and they found him in a bar, and they say, bro, I didn't even believe in that shit, because I think they were talking about some transsexual stuff, and then he's like, bro, I'm not even against transgender people. I just say those things.
Because, I mean, you had Alex Jones in court admit that it was just a character to sell product. Yeah, like ridiculous.
But it is what it is, and I hate that we have to be like they have to be our position, and they have to be considered as a legitimate people.
But that's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I said 100 times, bro. Conservatism is the biggest scam in the United States. Like they get people riled up in their emotions so they can charge them money. I mean, it's like what happened with Donald Trump's presidency is literally what it's about.
Bro, like, that was the biggest scam in the world. A lot of people who were like huge scammers, especially on the religious part of the continent, they was like, oh my god, I'm about to bag huge sums of money. You know how those people are shamlams, the people who were like saying that we should not believe in COVID, that we should not believe on the things they're saying about Trump and whatnot, and the people who were like saying we should come to the church and not listen to the FDA or whatnot, or not FDA. Is it the FDA?
The CDC?
The CDC, yeah, the CDC and all that stuff. That we should gather in church because God is gonna protect us, and you should like send us $100 bills because you gotta help.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
And those people who were like, send us your $14 checks, remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's crazy. Like, and then Donald Trump had set up reoccurring payments by default.
Yeah.
And so like if you signed up for like $50, then he'll keep taking $50 out of your account. And you wouldn't even know about it unless you uncheck the box.
Yeah,
it's like it's such a scam, man. It's like there's so much money floating around on a conservative side. It's pretty much anyone jumps in, they don't believe it at all. They don't believe what they say at all, but they're gonna get paid a lot of money just to say it, and that's what they want. They just want the money, so they go there, they lie, say stuff they don't believe, and then they leave. I mean, you take a perfect example is that a lot of these conservative commentators, okay, will complain about California and Democrats and all this stuff. And yeah, a good chunk of them live in California. right? And then even when they move to Texas, because that's usually where they go afterwards, they move to blue counties in Texas, where it's mostly Democrats. And so it's like, come on, these guys are jokes. Like, if they're jokes.
Essentially. Yeah. And anyways, talking about jokes, you want to move on? And let's be fair, right? It's not just conservatives and whatnot. There's also some liberals here and there, or some, people who like to call themselves progressives who, they look like a bunch of jokesters and a bunch of like fake wannabe revolutionaries and whatnot. One of them is the woke Elizabeth Warren.
So I see. You had to soften the blow a little bit. that transition is about to be a little harsh. You know, like, speaking of jokes, let's talk about Elizabeth Warren.
Like, no, I didn't want to say that directly.
Yeah, right? that's cool stuff.
Yeah, but it's anyways talking about wannabes. Like, Snake Elizabeth Warren has come back to the mainstream. Revived from the dead, essentially, because her career was in the gutter. After what
the most hated senators in the country.
Bro, how can you go from like being top 2, considered to be president of the United States? Progressives love you because progressives loved her at some point, and I was giving her the benefit of the doubt, but obviously I essentially wanted Bernie, but I wasn't like, you know what, fuck it, if it's Elizabeth Warren or whatever, right? But then eventually she just wanted to win so bad. So she started steering in the wrong side. Like, I don't know what happened. I think the people who were in charge of
what happened was she experienced Hillary Clinton. That's what happened. Like, Elizabeth Warren is like that. She's like the sidekick to the popular girl in school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she saw Hillary Clinton do it. Like, play the game. It kind of gets some success, right? But so she tried to do the same thing and failed. I mean, like, it's just what it was. She just didn't have the skill or the I guess charisma. That's what we want to call it.
I think
to get it done.
At some point, she had to figure out that people like Hillary Clinton, the way she did politics, did not work, because obviously Donald Trump destroyed her in 2016. But then that's what, like, Elizabeth Warren's like, okay, this is not working. Which side is actually getting any support? And he sounded better. He started to get gathering that much support. It's like, okay, these people, okay. So, and then obviously in the community of progressives, she was considered to be an ally. Even though there were some, butts here and there, and some people kind of like, oh, I don't know.
And I think that's the thing, was that she didn't know how to position herself. She tried to play all sides. Like I said, she tried to be Hillary Clinton, and a lot of those people on stage tried to be Barack Obama. Like, let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
They all tried to have, but they didn't have the charisma, and they didn't have the skill. And that's what it came down to. Is that
let's not talk about that dude. Remember the Latino dude?
Oh
my God, he tried to be Barack Obama, like copy and paste.
Yeah, they even hired his mannerism coach. Yeah.
One of the twins.
Yeah,
from Texas. But anyways, the reason why we brought Elizabeth Warren is because recently, obviously, she has done some areas here and there, and she has come out forward and said the reason why people, like, she lost on 2020 is because of the good old sexism bullshit. Right, she blames sexism because that's the reason why she lost, and that's the reason also she said Hillary Clinton lost in 2016, sexism, and she had the necessity or the audacity to call who?
Camilla Jayapal.
Yeah,
one of the members of the squad.
She called her.
She didn't call her anything. She just said she questioned her feminism because she didn't support another woman.
She called her a sexist.
Essentially.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're sexist because you decided to be part of Bernie Sanders instead of mine.
You gotta remember that Bernie Sanders actually helped her get elected too.
Bro,
I don't know why
Bernie Sanders went out of his dumb way to try to say, look, I haven't called you a sexist. What are you saying? And she doubled down saying, you calling me what, Bernie? Right? You remember when she tried to like trick him on stage to say that that you call me a sexist, remember? And then Bernie said, like, I didn't call you anything. What the hell are you talking? I was like, bro, everyone that night was just crucifixion for her. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, it was over because it was just like, one, you have no evidence, and two, all the mainstream media started running with it. And so it's just like, wait, what proof? Like, none of us have seen any evidence of this happening at all, and yet they're saying that he did it. Like, you know, see, like, you remember that infamous day where it was just like, hey, Bernie Sanders, she said you called her sexist. Is that true? No, it's not true. Hey, Elizabeth Warren, how did you feel when he said that to you? It was just like,
it never started.
What? It was like he just said he didn't say it, and then he just said he said it. It was just like, it was one of those things where it was just like I said, Elizabeth Warren in those moments in 2020 where you got to see her politics full display.
Mm-hmm.
She went from being one of the top senators in the country to being one of the bottom senators.
Yeah,
the only one worse than her was like what, Susan Collins, Republican. He was like the only one that was worse than her, like ratings wise.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was really funny because like, she said sexism, but Kamala Harris wasn't really struggling. I think Kamala Harris was never struggling at all, except in the beginning. But her popularity rose.
Yeah, because
and even I think that even at one point, like Marianne Williamson was up there, and then Tulsi Gabbard, I think is still the most searched politician on Google. And so during all those debates, which is kind of weird, but whatever.
They hate Tulsi. They hate Tulsi.
I mean, it seems like with good reason now, because she's been kind of like going a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but during that time, they hated Tulsi for the wrong reasons.
Oh yeah, I mean, she shut out, what's her name? Oh, Kamala Harris.
Yeah, Kamala Harris. She brought her entire fucking president down.
Oh yeah, it was pretty much over her.
She was like, she destroyed her after she put her against everyone else because of the things she did in the past with the truancy, and also because sending a lot of like students
keeping a guy keeping a guy on death row who was proven innocent, and she hid the evidence so he could stay on death row. That was a pretty big one. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah,
she knew he was innocent and screwed him over. So when it comes down,
and now she's the vice president of the United States, so it all worked for her.
I mean, because she made the deal. I mean, come on now.
She all worked. That's what I'm saying. It all worked out for her. What's her name? Kamala Harris, and now she's vice president of the United States. She represents the U.S. all over the United States, all over the world. She goes massive tours. Right now, she's in. She has done a lot of stuff, but anyways, like I said, Elizabeth Warren. At the end of the day, it's just sad, but it has to come down to.
I mean, no, I'm telling you, she hired the wrong people. That's what happened. Because she had when she first entered Washington, right? She was pretty decent.
Yeah,
but you could tell as time went on, and she started trying to she had higher ambitions.
Bro,
she started listening to the wrong people, and then from there she started believing it.
She hired all the people that ran the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Yeah, and you saw what happened. She got the same result Hillary Clinton did.
all these people who were salty about 2016. They brought that saltiness and that loser fucking lifestyle of like that loser mentality into Elizabeth Warren's fucking, and that happened right after because Elizabeth Warren was doing fine at the beginning, but then she decided to hire some people from the Hillary Clinton campaign, and to replace some of her people, her was like top level staff, and they ran her campaign all the way to the trash. I don't know if it was intentional or not.
I don't think it was intentional. I just think that that's how they believe. That's how they operate. That's how they believe. A campaign should be run, and no amount of losses will change that. And it just sucks that she started believing that. I mean, now she's saying, just like Hillary Clinton, that she only lost because of sexism. It's like she doesn't look at all the other BS that happened that she put out there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she was already becoming one of the most hated senators in the United States because of the way she acted, her support on a lot of bills before she even started running for president, right? She supported like those gigantic defense spending bills. She was voting for all this jank stuff that Donald Trump was putting out there. And at the same time, she turns around and says, you can't trust Donald Trump. Donald Trump can't be trusted. It's like, but then why are you voting for his bills then? Like, it makes no sense. And so, like, she came out there, thought everyone was stupid. No one was going to pay attention to it. She decided to do the Hillary Clinton maneuver, which is having a public and private stance. And then she lost because no one is dumb. It's like in the middle of a pandemic where everyone's life is dependent on what the government does. You really think people are not going to pay attention to the government? Like, in this last election, you had more people vote than had ever done so in American history. And she lost. And Biden won more votes than any other president in American history.
Yeah, right? Now we know why.
And Donald Trump was pretty damn close. He won a lot of fucking votes. Not as much as Biden, obviously, but second place ain't bad.
Yeah.
And so it's like...
And that was a pretty close race. It wasn't like...
But because it was that much, because people believed that much was on the line.
Yeah.
That's why.
Both sides, yeah.
Right. And so when you come out here trying to play both sides, like Elizabeth Warren, you get Hillary Clinton's team to tell you to do that. You end up with a
we understand what she did. Right when Bernie Sanders, it looked like obviously it was going to be Biden versus Bernie Sanders. She had no chance. Most people were just like, "Bro, just get out before the biggest election day happened," which was the Tuesday election.
Yeah, Super Tuesday.
And Super Tuesday thing, and then she had no money to get to Super Tuesday. But I mean, even they didn't even say, "Oh, you had no money to get to Super Tuesday." Who she gave you? It's like, "Oh, an angel from heaven." She said, "Help me." It was a she. It was someone who was a huge supporter of mine. They gave me $14 million to stay on the race, and then later we find out it was the same woman who had donated to. Remember that lady who thumbs down the
Kristen Sinema?
Yeah, Kristen Sinema. So the same lady who donated to Kristen Sinema now is the same lady who donated to Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, don't even give a start with Kristen Sinema. Fuck her.
So it's like, yeah, she's a massive supporter of mine. She fell from heaven, and she just happened to give me $14 million for free. I was like, yeah, no one's gonna give you $14 million for no reason, especially to someone who was gonna lose eventually. Right. Come on, man. Obviously, it was all like a plot, and she knew it was a plot, and she did it on purpose. It's salty as fuck that she had lost against someone like Bernie Sanders. And she also thought she was gonna get like the vice presidency or nothing. What did Elizabeth Warren got in return? Because she was not gonna do it for free. She got nothing for free. She got nothing, nothing. Not even a position. Not even nothing. People thought she was gonna be in charge of going against Wall Street. Biden was like, Wall Street? Hell no. You're not gonna be nothing on Biden fucking.
You didn't get a damn
Biden decided to keep people from the Trump administration first before she even got to Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, that's the saddest part about it. Like they don't trust her. Like, and there's nothing to trust. You keep trying to play both sides, and you got exposed as a liar. Yeah. Now you're pretty much right down there where Hillary Clinton is. As soon as Hillary Clinton found out as soon as people found out Hillary Clinton wasn't a winner anymore, they threw her away. And now they're doing the same with Elizabeth Warren. Oh, you want to play that game? Cool. You're not useful to us anymore.
But Elizabeth Warren was like even before that, and she's just dumb. She's just a dumbass person. She's just like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna play this side now, and then
like I said, she doesn't have the finesse. She does not have the finesse to play that game, and she tried to play it.
Obviously, Bernie Sanders kind of fought for it too, in some regard.
I mean, there's a lot of issues with what Bernie Sanders does.
But we're gonna get into that another day. Anyways, at last we want to talk about one thing only, and that is the surprising news that the Biden administration has lifted up some of the protection for the COVID-19 vaccine for
IP protection.
The actual formula for the COVID-19 vaccine for countries that need it, right? And obviously, there was came to a lot of people surprised that Biden was going to do that. Obviously, and in doing that interview, he said he promised, I think, a disabled man that he was going to do it. A lot of people were like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then the next day, he announced the Biden administration announced that was going to do it. And what happened, Kenneth, when they announced it?
Stocks dropped.
Yeah, the Pfizer and the Moderna, all the stocks are like. A little bit, not and then we find out obviously it's not 100% all the way of like let me give you all this for free. He was just like, no, hold on. We're gonna give you this, but it's gonna be in our own terms. We're gonna write it down, not you guys. You guys not gonna write down the rules and how this is gonna go down. We're gonna write it down. So, which means that there might be some things here and there that are gonna still benefit those companies. We still yet to find out the specifics.
Yeah.
But let's not just be like it's like people are writing is a great step forward to the right direction, which is essentially what the whole Biden fucking administration is. One step right. Instead of going right with Trump, we're going center right with Joe Biden. Right?
I mean, this is he announced that he was going to do it. He has not done it. So remember, they can say whatever they want. None of that matters until action happens. But so far this year, he has been pretty good on what he's been saying he was going to do. But the thing that matters the most, obviously, the loan forgiveness, Medicare for all. Anyone who is young pretty much got nothing from him. Yeah, pretty much. Unless I'm missing something.
And he likes to brag about it. That's what I hate about him the most. He likes to go out there and say that, we believe in Medicare for all, but
because he's like Biden has this idea that like young people should just you got your whole life ahead of you, like work your ass off and do blah blah. But it's just like he's right, we have our whole lives ahead of us. But the thing is that when you have like people putting up walls to slow you down on purpose, it becomes an issue. Like, come on, like you had an entire generation of people who racked up student loan debt and declared bankruptcy on it. Mm-hmm. And then you purposely stop that for every generation following it. It's like, come on. And then on top of that, like you take away, you deregulate it, right? And then you make it easier for banks to steal your money. It's like you add it all up. It's like, all right, man, it's not as easy as you think it is, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously, like I remember I had a friend who was telling me that when he was younger, this was like in the 70s, 80s, he had to work 2 jobs to just make ends meet. Nothing's changed. I was like, no, a lot of things changed. It's not 2 jobs anymore, it's 4. Like, you know what I mean? That's impossible. Like, that's impossible.
Yeah.
And, almost everyone I know who's my age lives with roommates, right? It's crazy. Like, it's clear to see something's wrong, right? But when we have people say, well, that's just being young, it's like, no, not. Like, you know what I mean? Like all this doesn't coincidentally happen at the same time. Like there were laws and policies put to make this happen, to cause this to happen, right? And you can't let this continue with no intervention, because it's like so far, like what would have been put on young people, right? Is going to be what? Climate change, right? You have the scarcity of resources, all the droughts, etc. You have all the financial issues. You have all the property issues, right? Where people just buying up property left and right. A lot of people can't even afford a house. Like even doctors and lawyers can't really afford houses like that anymore. And so it's like, it's like they're leaving these huge, gigantic problems, and then they're saying, well, young people have to clean it up. But it's just like clean it up starts with getting rid of you, because you're causing the problem. Like, you see the issue, but who knows, man. But so far, when it comes to the COVID 19, Biden been doing a pretty good job. Can't really lie. I mean, he saved. Like, I could tell you right now that I personally think this is all because of what happened with Georgia. I think that if Biden would have been allowed to get away with lying and not giving out the $1,400 checks, then he wouldn't be doing anything else.
Yeah,
because they were this close to BSing you. Like you have no idea, they were this close. Yeah. But everyone was like, nah. Yeah. Where's my money? Give me my money. That's what you said. You're gonna give it to me.
Yeah.
And then because he saw that, he's like, all right, I can't BS now. So I'm gonna start doing good things. I'm gonna start doing what I said I was gonna do. That's what I believe personally.
Well, I mean, obviously, we only couldn't expect so much from the Biden administration. That's why we have people like AOC kind of went out of her way and saying, "Hey, look, let me kiss your ass. You're doing a wonderful job." I was like, bro, what are you doing? You don't have to do that. I mean, you could be happy about it, but don't show expression of, oh, he's doing a great job. You know, it's like he's gonna stop doing anything. I mean,
I
you
mean,
have to.
but I gotta give it to him. He has been doing a pretty good job. I'm not
I
gonna
mean,
lie.
he's not been doing. He's been doing at least what he has to be doing. That's why we're saying, oh, he's been doing.
No, that's the thing. That's the good job.
That's what I'm saying. What kind of fucking low expectation is that? What kind of low expectation is like? Oh, you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing. Great fucking job, bro. Staying on topic. I was like, bro, what kind of low bar is that for someone like the president of the United States of America? I mean, I understand that it's great for us progressives to at least not having go to the right, you know what I mean, or not doing anything. But that's because of the pressure that has been putting behind the scenes. I mean, Bernie Sanders just came out saying that he wants Democrats to lower the what's it called, Medicare from the ages of 65 to 55, and to include dental and vision, right?
So, yeah, I mean, that's true. Like your chances of dying after 55 goes up a lot. Actually, I didn't know it at the time. Until I started looking up. I don't know if you've ever had to look it up, but when you look up insurance plans, right? They're based in age brackets. So obviously, if you're, I think, 25 and below, you're like the prime bracket. That's the one they want. Like, they want you, and then like ideally, and then the second bracket is like 25 to like 35. And the third bracket is like 35 to 45. Fifth bracket is like 45 to 55. And then the fifth bracket is like 55 plus. And the amount of health issues you get after 55 is
outstanding. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Yeah. Right? It's high, way higher than even 45, 50, 52, 53, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like so having them lower Medicare to 55 is not an unreasonable thing. That's like you might not be a senior in terms of your the way your label.
Yeah.
But you might, because you're technically still middle aged when you're 55. But the amount of health problems that you have going into seniority, it goes up drastically. Like it's not the same. Like it's a completely different animal. Yeah. Like I wouldn't mind at all having 55-year-olds get Medicare for all, because even insurance companies, like I said, they recognize that there's a difference.
Yeah.
Like the bracket is 55 plus. It's not 55, 65 plus. It's 55 plus.
Yeah.
And so so they need to raise it. They need to lower it, I guess, to 55. But we all know it's not going to do that because money. And then you had I remember I think a couple of days ago a Fox News host was saying they need to lower Medicare because it's getting in the way of defense spending.
Okay, well, they like to throw some bullshit ass. They say, "Oh, we can."
No one wants defense spending. I don't know how. Yeah,
they don't say anything about what billions of dollars spent on this fucking airplane. Whatever.
$1 billion per plane.
Per plane.
Per plane. That means for one, it costs $1 billion.
What about the drums? The drones.
Oh yeah, the drones. We have
it cost about $150,000 per fucking missile.
Yeah, missile.
But missile. And we fucking be bombing them day and night. So anyways, guys, we have run out of time. But I'll promise I'll be here next week, as obviously on my finals, and the summer is right at the corner. Finals, right? These 2 weeks, next 2 weeks, just Mondays and Tuesdays will be filled with finals.
Is your last semester?
No, it's my second to last, whatever.
How many classes next semester?
Another 5, but it's mostly gonna be production classes.
Okay.
Yeah, film guy. Anyways, guys, make sure to follow us on social media, Political Pensions, Instagram, Twitter, and whatnot. Also, make sure to, like, if you don't follow our podcast and all the platforms for iTunes, Spotify. We're gonna be uploading this to those specific platforms and whatnot. Also, obviously we're live right now on YouTube, so make sure to follow us on YouTube because we're gonna have the live stream every Monday when we record, or Sunday, whichever of those 2 days. Anyways, Kenneth, any last comments? Any last things you want to say?
Peace.
Peace in the Middle East.
That's it.
All right, guys. See you guys next time. Peace.